Welcome, Flosstube, and I am so glad you are joining me today. It is Saturday, September 21st. It's getting there, you know, our year's just flying by, as many people have already commented, but what can you do? In case any of you are Batman fans, happy anniversary, happy anniversary. Yes, today is the 60th, I think, anniversary. I don't know, it may be 60th or 80th. I can't remember which number. I know it was an even number. And I didn't even realize this. I was driving into town and the radio was on and they were saying how the bigger cities, like all over the world, New York, LA, Paris, a bunch of different places, are going to actually display a Batman signal tonight. Okay, so if you are a Batman fan, here you go. Okay, life update. Let's get on with the life update and then we'll get to stitching stuff. It hasn't been quite as crazy in the last couple weeks as it was the last video that I showed you. That was insane. But you know, a fair amount has been going on. Last night was Friday, obviously, since today is Saturday. And Friday is date night with another couple that we have known for about 30 years. So every Friday, unless something prevents us from doing it, somebody's out of town or whatever, we always have a date night together. And it has turned into each week, one person gets to pick what we're going to be doing that week. And they have to do it. Apparently, you don't have to do it happily or not grumble and complain about it, but you do have to do it. So this week was my week to pick. And I decided something that I had tried to do a couple months ago. And when I called in, they were all full. They were booked up, so I wasn't able to do it. And when I was thinking about it this week, I just happened to remember again. And I thought, oh, it's already like Tuesday. I don't know, it might be full, but I'll give it a try anyway. So I called in, sure, oh yes, praise be, there was room. I was so happy. So what we ended up doing was and they actually called it a date night at this place, Archery Night. Oh yeah, Boing. It was a lot of fun. So there was probably about 10 couples. It's indoors, so you're not outside in the weather. And it was about an hour and a half long. We got there just a hair late, so I think they had gotten everybody their bows, which they have bows for everybody to use. They'd gotten their arrows, they'd explained the safety procedures, and they were kind of at that point when we got there, so they hadn't gotten really too much farther. So it was just, it seems like they let a few too many people, you know, sign up for it than they should, because it was kind of crowded and squished. And you get some practice rounds. Everybody shoots 5 arrows at a time. And then after everybody's done shooting is when you can go get your arrows out of the targets. So that was going on. And then after a couple of rounds of practice shooting, then they start playing games. And I didn't know that they were going to do this. Which, I mean, it made it more fun. It made it more interesting. But what they would do is the guy would say, okay, so now between the two of you as your team, I want you to try to just get in the 4 and 5 ring. So it started out with bullseye and then it got gradually bigger. And then he would switch it up and do different things throughout the time that we were there. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. So I'm going to show you some video, just a little bit, and then we'll come back and talk about some other things. Doing archery today on Friday night, date night. So as you can see, it was a lot of fun. It's not a terribly big facility, but it was big enough. As I mentioned, there's about 10 couples, I think. It was approximate. I'm kind of just trying to remember. And so throughout the game, as you were playing these things, if you actually accomplished what they were trying to do with those 5 arrows, or 10 between the two people in the couple, then he would give out these little Hershey kisses. And at the end, you counted all your Hershey kisses up, and then they had a winning team, and they went down to like 3rd place, I think, so 2nd and 3rd. And my husband and I ended up coming in 3rd place. Woohoo! We just got like a baseball cap with their logo on it. It wasn't anything super fantastic. Now, the 1st place would have been nice because they gave tickets for people to come back and do practice shooting and free equipment rental. That would have been nice because it seemed like something I would like to go back and do and really refine my ability to hit the target. I mean, I hit it quite a bit and I did fairly well, but there were times like, why did it go that way instead? And we were only about probably about 15 feet away from the targets. So we weren't really, it wasn't a big long distance. And they didn't use compound bows. As you can see in the video, it looks more like a standard type of bow. And so that's what they have everybody use. Unless you bring your own, you can bring your own. All right. The next thing is the ever-present outside work. Though this should be your last time that we will probably talk about that because the summer is going to come to an end, which I'm grateful because my body needs a big long break. So when I last left off in the video previous to this, I had started on the driveway. So we had completely got the backyard flattened out. It had been rototilled and graded. And so that was kind of, I wasn't doing anything yet. Now I'm moving into the driveway. And what I needed to do with the driveway is that it's gravel, but because it had turned into mud because of our tree, it was uneven. The tires tracks one was higher than the other. And mostly because there's roots, big, huge, giant tree roots in the dirt. So now the tree's gone, I can take the roots out. But it's a lot of work. And I want to say a huge, huge, huge thank you to my son because now part of it was because he doesn't have a job. He graduated this last June. He doesn't have a job yet. So because he doesn't have a job, he gets to help me. He gets to do whatever work I'm going to have him do for the day. And most of the time throughout August and into September a little, it was helping me outside. I don't know if he wishes he had a job instead. So we were starting to dig down to the level that I wanted, so that not only both sides were level, but getting those tree roots out. So sometimes we had to dig a little bit farther. It was such a pain, people. So the video I showed was one root that was kind of snaking around and I hadn't found the end of it yet. There were much more that I had come across as we were digging. And of course, as roots are going to do, they don't just follow a straight line. They don't just have one root that's kind of meandering around. They have other parts that shoot off, more roots that shoot off of it. So it was a puzzle to figure out where the root was going, if there's more that were attached and going down into the dirt somewhere else. There was one root that I took out that was about that big around and probably where we cut it about 3 feet long. It was massive. And that was only one. Now that was the biggest one, but the others were still, there were some big ones. And I started off, because I didn't realize how many I was going to end up running into, just using a little pruning saw. Okay, because I don't know where it's going to go. Got real tired of that real fast because it would take a long, long time to do it. So I got the axe out. I couldn't use a chainsaw because for one, it's going in the dirt. And for another, mine is, it's a pretty basic model and it has a tip guard on it. So you can't cut anything on the tip. which makes it real hard when you're trying to get, that's the area you need to cut with. So I wasn't able to use a chainsaw. So we just got the axe out. Big long handled axe. So between the pick and the axe, we were swinging around heavy stuff a lot. So not only did I take out the tire track parts to make those level, which I did that first because I kind of wanted to see where level was and how we were doing stuff. But I had to take out the center dirt as well because I wanted to, and I didn't necessarily need to go down as far as the tire tracks were going to go when I took the center dirt out. I wanted to plant sod back in there. It just turned into a bunch of weeds at this, beforehand. So I just needed to get rid of it. So it needed to come down, but maybe not as deep because I was going to put a pretty thick layer of gravel in the tire tracks, and then they got the sod. So, the dirt and the sod's only so deep, and then you want a thick layer of gravel. So you need a little bit deeper wheelbase than you do for the sod. So got all that in. That turned out lovely. And I will show you a video of that. The other thing that I did is I finished what I was going to do at the backyard. Now I know I said we did everything we thought we were going to do. The only thing that extra I did was I laid a little bit of sod down. So we'll get into that. I've got that recorded for a little video, and that it kind of explains what my process is from now on. So we'll watch those, and we'll come back and get to some more stitching stuff. The driveway is done, y'all. Now, ignore that mess. That will be next summer. But the driveway is done. We will not be driving on mud this year when the winter comes and the rains are here. Yes, it's awesome. Because I'm happy I'm alone if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy I'm alone if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy I'm alone if you know what happiness is. Yes, it is finally done. For this summer at least. I have 24 by 24 foot section of grass sod put in. Yay! And the rest of the yard is completely covered with plastic. And I know you're all sitting there saying, what on earth are you doing? But I really don't want to go through what I went through this summer with the weeds. That was, an hour worth of, or a month worth of work, and somebody getting paid to come out and rototill and make it all flat and nice. And I don't want to do that again. So I'm covering with plastic to hopefully prevent the weeds. Keep it all nice until next summer when I can finish doing the landscaping. I will probably put in more grass. I just don't know how much, because over here I want to put a little deck. And at some point, somewhere, I want to put in like a paver patio, so that we could have like a little fire, like roasting marshmallow type fire, sit around and enjoy the night fire. And I don't know where that's going to go yet. So that's why I put that much yard in and no more, because I just don't know. And I'm running out of time for this summer, and that's as much as it's going to get. So there you are. Because I'm happy. Yes, very happy that all that's done now. Not only the driveway, but the backyard is done as much as I'm going to do this year. I got my goal got accomplished. Now, it would have been nice if I could have finished the painting stuff. I mentioned that in another video, I don't know, 3 videos back or something. That there's a little bit of painting left to do, mostly trim, and then a little bit of the side in the back corner where nobody really sees it. But next summer, I will do that next summer. Plans that are coming up. Next weekend, actually Thursday, I'm leaving, going on a little mini vacation. I'm going all by myself. Nobody else is coming with me. I am going out to Minnesota. And I get to visit my, friends that I have out there. I kind of planned it on purpose that I will be there at the end of the month, and that way I will be able to go, because I've already called and saved my spot, to Stitchville's Stitch-In Night. It's always their last Friday of the month, and it's great. Deb makes wonderful food. She makes kind of more appetizer type food, and then has a dessert as well, and she's a fabulous cook. So they have that there, but I get to see all the people that will be there, and that was my home stitchy store to begin with. So, that's kind of where I started really getting back into stitching again, and that's who I hung out with for like 5 years. So I am really looking forward to that a lot. So hopefully I'll have some video. If I remember, I'll have some video of us there. I have also been working on bags. Lots of bags. So I'm not really going to talk about it too much on this video, but maybe next one I'm probably going to show some video of some of the bags I have, and maybe drum up a little bit of business from that. Alrighty, whips. We're getting into the stitchy stuff now. All right, the ever-present, always working, Esther's Wave. Esther's Wave is coming along. As I mentioned in the last video, I finally finished that the band previous to this that was giving me a lot of heartache, a lot of pain, and now I'm on to the last big band. And after that, I just have one little skinny band left. This one is much easier. It's not causing me a lot of grief and headache. It's a pretty easy specialty stitch, I'm finding. Of course, as you know, whenever you get a specialty stitch that just wants to, you just want to throw it out the window, is most of the time going to be the one that turns out the prettiest. Because it is more complicated, and it does. And I do like the other band a lot, but I did not like stitching it. So with that, here is the one I'm doing. So the other band, let me put that behind you, is mostly like they come out into squares and diamond shapes for the stitching. You just kind of keep crossing over, and you alternate between horizontal and vertical. And then of course the beads around it. So I add those as I go. Yep. So as I mentioned, just have one more band under this once I finish this thicker one, and I'll be finished. Yes, finished. It's kind of been up in the air because of different things that have been going on, but I try to work on it every single night, and I might get one of these square areas done a night, possibly more, just kind of depending on how much time and how I feel. But, and also depending on when I come make another video, I might have it finished or really close. All right, another whip I've got going on. This lovely little girl, I'm calling her a girl. It's Taboo Kitty. It's a Mill Hill. It's the perforated paper, and then it also has, after the stitching, you put in all kinds of beads and such. This is how far I've gotten. So mostly been working on black because there's quite a bit of it. And so now I can just kind of work around it with the other colors, which there's not a whole lot of colors. It's mostly oranges. They call something a yellow. So there's yellow and there's a little bit as well. But, it's mostly black and orange and a little yellow. So not too many colors there. This is turning into a pretty quick stitch, so that won't take me too long. My other whip that I am working on is my Wiggy Washi. As I said last time, I was going to give some of these whips that I haven't really been working on a little more love. And so I did. I made a concerted effort to make sure I did that. So I did adjust the fabric a little bit so it may look a little different than when I showed it to you the last time. So here we go. This behind it. I've gotten the hat finished and the bra, which I love. I've gotten pretty much most of the tree done. It's kind of hiding up in there. That's why I said I moved it and you can't see some of the writing and a little bit of the tree. I know you can kind of see it, but it's so subtle that you really kind of have to look. That broom handle and the tree are actually different colors. But they're very close when you stitch. When you hold them next to each other, when you put the two flosses, you're like, oh yeah, that looks like it's going to be different enough. But you stick it on here and it's not a whole lot different. But I decided to keep it anyway, not change it, so it was a little more drastic. But it's getting there. I think I need to finish the broom, like the part on the bottom. There's a couple of stars up by the tree, and then I will adjust the fabric over and stitch on the right hand side of the fabric and finish up the line and the other tree. So there are those whips. That's all my whips. Here are some finishes. One of the other things I said I was going to give a little more love to and try to get more done on it was something that I actually finished. So it's a finish. I did, I changed some of the colors, not a lot, just a couple of little ones because the threads were blending in too much with the back. Because I did not use the called for fabric. So I changed a little bit of the colors, and plus because I was stitching over one on a smaller count, I mean it's not the smallest, it's not 40 count, but it's still small enough, that any of them that just had one little stitch here or here, you know, like a one stitch star kind of thing, I did not do those because I did not want to mess with trying over one to get those to not slip underneath each other, under the threads. So it's a little bit different, and I don't know how, but I messed up the bottom border, and I can't figure it, and I didn't want to take the time to try and figure it out, but you'll see it. You'll be able to tell. So it was the Mr. Delicious. There it is. So if you can tell, and you can tell it's pretty small when you set it next to my finger, this bottom lace is got more peaks than the top. The top is correct. The bottom's not. I don't know how I did that. I still can't figure it out. But like I said, I didn't put a lot of effort into trying to figure it out. So he is as finished as he's going to be because I'm not going to add some of the other stuff. It's just a little bit too tedious on this kind of count the way I'm doing it. As I had mentioned, I had finished Mrs. Delicious, but I had done it and it was on the same, it's not the exact same fabric, but it was on the same count fabric, but I did over two. So I'm going to show you them side by side. Okay. So I like both of them. They're very pretty. They're very nice, but I moved Mr. Delicious to the over one because if I did it Mr. Delicious in the over two, they were not going to fit in this. And I know there's a goose, but you won't see the goose because I'm going to fill it in and you won't see it. But I was going to put both of those finished projects in this to display. Mrs. Delicious practically takes up the whole entire pan. So there's no way I could fit both of them in here. So that's why I thought I'm going to make Mr. Delicious in something so that he comes out smaller. And I really like the fabric, but it ended up being the same count. So I thought, well, I'll try over one and see how big it is, first of all, and if I like it. As I mentioned, I do like them. I like them both. But I did not enjoy stitching Mr. Delicious over one on this fabric. So I am not going to stitch Mrs. Delicious on that fabric so it matches. Plus, Mr. Delicious is kind of small actually now for this, I think. I mean, I know if you put both of them together, but it seems like this is going to swallow them up and it's just going to look too dwarfed to put this in. So I actually got some other fabric, and it's at this point, because I've already stitched both of these and I just don't care anymore. It's an 18 count Aida, and it's not just a plain cream or white. I can't remember what it was called, but it's got that speckled look to it. So I'm just going to use that. Going to restitch them. So you may say, what are you going to do with these? I'm not 100% sure yet. I will finish them. I may use them as a giveaway in the next month or so. I don't know yet for sure, but it's you know, kind of brewing in my head. That's usually what I do. I start thinking about something and then I let it simmer and percolate, and then I finally decide what I'm going to do. So that's kind of where I stand with those. I do have another finish. It's an actual FFO though this time. I did Mummy, another little Mill Hill. Because we're getting close to Halloween, I'm kind of trying to finish up a few little things for that. So here he is, very cute. So this one and the Taboo Kitty both have this lovely, you know, it sits up pretty high. It's not just a bead, it's like a little gem. So the Taboo Kitty will actually have one of those as well somewhere. But very cute. And this one actually had enough of these beads left over for me to make it the handle with it. So that's what I did. And I did just use the self-sticking felt to cover the back. Now, I do have a couple more, I've shown these before, a couple more little ornaments that hopefully I will get to, as well as the Taboo Kitty. Finish that up. And you may be saying, well, what are you going to do with this? I'm so glad you asked. So I'm going to show you over here, and I'll move a little closer. Hopefully my window will adjust. It's not adjusting. It's not really showing up very well, but I have a black tree. I have, and it's all lit up. He's got little lights. I've got my keep out. I've got my skull here with my crow, and he changes colors. He lights up and he changes colors. It's kind of light in here, so it doesn't show up real well. Of course, I've got some pumpkins, but the tree, he's fun. And I know a lot of you probably have something like that, but yeah, as you can see, I've got my pumpkin here that I stitched for Satsuma Street. I've got the moon and the owl. So that is what I am doing with those. So sorry that didn't show up quite as well as I had hoped. We just have so many windows in this house that it's really hard to get anything that's not going to turn dark like that, or that's just going to glare and blind us. So anyway, I think that is about it today. Not as long as the last one, I think. Last one was pretty long. But I hope you all have had a lovely time visiting with me, and that you are having a wonderful, wonderful day. I know it's starting to get cloudy in a lot of places and getting a lot more rain and all that. So I hope you had a wonderful summer and you were able to get out a lot and enjoy it, and enjoy whatever little peaks we get of sunshine for the rest of the fall before it probably gets really nasty. That's kind of why I wanted to go on my vacation now before it started getting really cold and snowy in Minnesota. So hopefully it'll be pretty decent while I'm still there. Anyway, with that, I think we'll sign off and say goodbye, and thank you again for coming. And if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Possibly hit that notification bell so that you know whenever new videos pop up. As you've noticed, sometimes it's a week and sometimes it's 2 weeks. I usually don't go more than 2 weeks between videos, but it could happen. But I usually do them a little bit more often than that. So anyway, with that, we'll say goodbye and we'll see you next time.